Alright, so today I'm going to take you guys through all the steps of wiring up a wideband, a boost gauge, really any kind of electric gauge. I'm just going to show you an example. When I turn my key on, which I shouldn't do, because my fuel pump was on too. But for that quick second, you saw when I turn my key on, my gauges turn on as well. So I'm going to show you guys the process of going through that, hopefully without spilling freaking gas all over your motor like a dumbass. And yeah, hopefully this video can help someone out, because I know when I was trying to Jesus, there we go. Ooh, I guess gas is a good degreaser, right? Just gonna get in there, get all that grime off. All right, something we call good enough. Back to the video. So now we're going to go on the components you need. So what I use for my setup is obviously the gauges themselves. I'm using AEM, wideband, and boost gauge right here, just top of the line stuff, or run of the mill really. I mean that's the most common setup out there. And what I'm also using is I'm using some 5-wire relays that I converted to 4-wire right here, and I'll go into that in a little bit. And I'm also using fuses as well. Fuses are good in case there's any kind of short in the system. You're not going to blow up the gauge. Instead, you're just going to blow up this fuse. You know, you just replace this fuse out and you're good to go. So it also helps to have wire that's thicker than the thinnest wire. It's good to have at least as thick or thicker than the thinnest wire in the setup. So since these AEM gauges use like 20, 24 gauge wire, really thin stuff, you know, it's really overkill to have 10 gauge or whatever thickness this stuff is. But I went ahead and used these thicker relays and just wired it in. You can see over here on the bike, this is my fuse right here. And since I'm powering both these gauges from the same relay, which will make sense in a little bit. I just went ahead and used a thicker wire on the fuse to make up for the thickness of both these wires together. So moving on to the setup, I'm just going to kind of draw out what the setup's going to look like. So here I have my relays. So what we're going to do, actually, it's probably best to break down the relay right now. So the way a relay works, if you have a 4-wire setup, these were actually 5-wire relays that I converted to 4-wire because they ended up actually just being cheaper. And if you do the same thing as me and get a 5-wire relay, all I did is pull out the middle wire here. So you could see a blank spot in the middle right here. I just yanked out the middle yellow wire because I have no use for it. You really don't even have to touch it. You could just leave it in there. But I thought it would look kind of goofy just having a hanging wire out there. So I just pulled it out of the plug right here. So the first step you're really going to want to do to get this system going is figuring out what the 4 wires in your relay are. So you're going to have a power going in, which is the red in this setup, or the 30. And it's good to have a diagram like this printed out, and you can compare that. There's a little diagram on the back right here. So you can see that, I'll zoom it in a little more. It's kind of hard to get this thing to focus right here. But basically the diagram on the back of this relay is the same numbers and same setup that's on this drawing, this blown up drawing I have right here. So if you go to the bottom of the relay, you can see we have 30 right here. And 30 is the power supply, or the power going into it. So that's what this red wire is going to be. You're going to connect this red wire right to your battery. And this black wire right here is going to be negative 86 right here on the left. So you're going to go ahead and just ground this to your frame, or you can ground it to your battery if you want to. But now that we got this red and black wire figured out, we're going to look at our diagram here, and we're going to see that 85 white in this setup right here is our trigger wire. So this is the wire that we're going to tap into our kill switch right here. And basically I'm going to splice into the wire coming out of this kill switch, not the wire coming in, but the wire coming out of this kill switch. And when I splice this white wire into it, as soon as I turn on my bike and it sends power through this kill switch, it's going to trigger this blue wire. It's going to trigger the relay to send power from the red wire here over to the blue wire. So this is essentially our trigger that just turns on with the key. On most motorcycles, you'll have 2 wires associated with this kill switch. You'll have a positive wire coming in from the battery, and then this switch basically just connects the wire to its output. So there's a wire coming in and a wire coming out. And this switch just determines whether the wires are connected or not, whether that second wire going out gets power or not. So I like wiring my fuel pumps and things like that on the kill switch. For the gauges, it does get kind of annoying. As soon as you shut it off, it shuts off your gauges as well. But really, once you have your kill switch off, you really don't need the gauges on either. So what I did is actually blew up a diagram right here, which kind of looks overwhelming at first, but the easiest way to read the diagram is actually from the outside. So we can look at all the lights here, our ignition switch, engine stop switch, starter switch, whatever. And that's actually what we want right here is the engine stop switch. So you can see just looking at it that there's an orange wire with a white dot on it going across. It's kind of hard to see. I wish my quality was really better. But you can see going into the switch, there's an orange wire with a white dot going into it, and going out of the switch is an orange with a black. So those are the 2 wires going into this kill switch. So the orange with the white would be the wire coming in, and the orange with the black would be the wire coming back out. So what I did for my setup is actually I tapped in and just spliced the wire coming out, the orange and black wire, with this red wire right here, which is kind of hard to see. I wish I filmed it really when I did it, but I think this will still be informative to you guys. So all I did essentially was just tap into the orange with the orange wire with the black dots on it and I spliced into it with this red wire right here, and I ran it all the way back to my relays, to the white wire in my relays, which you can kind of see here, white with the yellow dash. And that's my trigger wire. So you can see that just routes back into the relay here, which is the same 4-wire relay that I showed you guys right here. So as soon as I turn the key on, which I'm not going to do because I'm not going to spill fuel everywhere again, with these gauges, it recommended that you have a 5-amp fuse in place, just in case anything shorts out in the system. You don't go ahead and fry your gauges. That's the purpose of the fuse itself. So what I did is once we got our trigger routed, which was the white wire, I'm going to move on to the output power wire, which is our blue wire right here. And you can see in the setup that I just essentially crimped on an end connector onto my fuse right here, and then just routed the fuse to power the gauges. So this is going to be your gauge power wire. This is actually what's going to be powering the gauges.